Thank you so much for tuning in to the Awakening with Conditional Love channel. We are a spiritual enlightenment channel where we help you raise your consciousness and become your best version. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Joyce Peart. She is a passion coach, and today we're going to be talking about relationships. Hello, Dr. P. How are you?
Hey, Katina, all is well. All is well. Thank you for inviting me to be on the show today.
You're
I'm looking
welcome.
forward to this conversation.
Most definitely. Right. There's a lot to talk about in relationships.
Yeah, yeah. That word is such a broad term, and people don't often, they hear the word and they automatically assume that it's one thing or another. And so
Right.
sometimes when we talk about it, we are talking about it from different spaces rather than from the same space. Like love, right? Like
Right.
you said that
Right.
word love, and everybody think they know what it means. It has a meaning for as many people as there are, is as many definitions of what that word is.
Most
Yeah. So
definitely.
mhm.
Most definitely. So, where would you like to start? You want to talk about like personal relationship, romantic relationships? Because it seems like that's the biggest concern from people is that personal or romantic type of a relationship. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, but all relationships, I mean, all interactions, energetic interactions are relationships, whether it's with your dog, whether it's with the tree, whether it's with yourself,
Yeah,
it's right. And I think like fundamentally the relationship does start with self. Don't you think that? Like
most definitely. And it's the
most
most
people,
important one.
mhm, right. However, like we don't work on that one as often, right? We try to love other beings
Right,
without perfecting and loving and nurturing and cultivating that self-love. And then we
right,
wonder, oh, dang, they don't love me like I want to be loved, right?
right.
Probably because you don't love you like you want to be loved.
Exactly. So
And
we
we
only
don't,
attract what we are,
mhm,
right?
right. And then we often don't see the correlation between, what's coming to us. Like you said, we're attracting what we are, what's coming to us. We don't see that correlation. So yeah, but we all want to be loved.
Yeah, we do. But like you said, we have to work on that core relationship, which is with ourselves. And it's like for me, nobody is responsible for loving me. I'm responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we have that mindset, it's like we let other people off the hook. Like you have to be this way. You have to give me this attention. You have to, show me love, reciprocate love, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course we want that. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like we have to learn to love ourselves so much and be so solid in that love, that self love that, whether that person is there or not, it's like, I'm good. If you're there, good. If you're not, I'm still going to be good because I got me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But it's like, don't get me wrong. I do, enjoy that love, from another person, of course. But it's like, I'm not holding someone else responsible. Like, you have to treat me this kind of, this type of way or whatever, you know.
Right. But we shape this this thing called
Hmm.
love, this idea of love. We shape it into this transaction. So where it becomes transactional, right? Like it's I'll give you some of this if you give
Yep.
me some of that, right? And
Yep.
so that's the other problem is we all walk around with this conditional love, and we call it unconditional, but it's conditional because it's about I'm expecting something back in return.
Right.
And but that's not real love. I mean, for all of us who,
No, it's not.
let's talk about the ones of us who go to church, and all those of us that have this like this Christian perspective of loving, according to what the Bible says, and what God is requiring of us is we're loving conditionally.
Right. Right.
And that's not what the command is. And so let's take it away from there. So not the Bible, but what is true love? And I look to nature for that.
Right.
You know, and nature says the tree is offering me love. And I
Yeah.
tell the tree don't run down the street after me saying, hey, I got some shade here. I got some shade here. Why don't you come sit up under the shade? Because I'm here. And if you love
Right.
me, you let me share my shade with you, right? And that tree is
Right.
not doing that. And many of us have animals, right? And the animals are not giving conditional love. Animals are loving.
They just
Now
give it freely.
they do. And one of the things I was thinking about the other day, how many animals think about that dog? That dog does not come to you and say, Master, you know, I was looking at myself and wondering what I could do to improve myself. Well, what do you think? Do I need to move my eyebrows up, maybe change my
Right.
tail? Dogs are not, animals are not trying to perfect God's creation, right? And people say, well, you know, they don't think. The point is, look at nature,
Yep.
you
That's
know,
very true.
right? And before we started trying to find other ways, I don't know, to substantiate ourselves, indigenous people, we always looked to nature because we knew in nature was the language of God, was the language of the creator.
Hmm.
And so the animals are not, they're not conditional love. They're not trying to be something other than what they are. They're
Yeah.
never saying that, you know, the creator's work was not good enough. I can make it better. They are,
They
they're,
just be who they are,
they just be.
and they don't know any difference. They don't know any difference to be any other way.
I don't know if they know any difference. I mean, we presume they don't. I don't know. I do
No, what I
know,
mean is like
yeah.
they don't know any other way to be unless we like train them like we do little children and brainwash them. We can do
Mhm,
that to our pets too, but to be a certain type of way. But what I'm
mhm,
saying is in their pureness,
mhm.
they're just pure and they're just giving and they're just love and they're just pure examples of God to me.
So what is your pureness?
My purity, my
No, your
purest
your pureness.
pureness.
Yes, right. And if
My it's when I'm not in the ego self.
mm,
It's when I'm in, just connected to that God source part of me. It's when, I'm not putting conditions on things. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Just
mhm,
just leaving the ego like over there and not expecting, allowing freedom,
mhm,
you
mhm,
know.
mm,
To me, that's purity. Just innocence, just being that, without conditions, without any just pure conditions. Just I'm
mm.
sorry, pure unconditional
Right.
love. It's just
That's
pure
right.
unconditional
Mhm,
love.
mhm. So do you suppose if we considered ourselves as the handiwork of God,
Hmm.
rather than criticizing, critiquing it, would we be full of gratitude for it? Like, I'm so grateful I have two eyes.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, it would
The
be a
simplest
rough
thing, the
world.
simplest of things.
A rough world to live in with one. You know, I could have one smack dab on my forehead, and that just be right. Or it's just the things about us that, in the wisdom of Creator,
Hmm.
right? We are whether you believe in evolution or you believe in God's creation or however you want, but in the wisdom of consciousness and source,
Right.
that we are made in the way that we're made, like that. That's, and see, to me, that's relationship right there, right? So are you full of gratitude? Do you
Yeah.
offer gratitude
Yeah.
for that?
Most
And that,
definitely.
right? And so that's relationship. That's love, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think it's important that we love ourselves as we are and not try to fix this or fix that or perfect this or perfect that. I mean, yeah, we should always strive to become our best version, but it's like don't put so much emphasis on, oh, I need a lift. I need to, like, I'm looking at my skin right here. Like I feel like I need to make that better, right? Because it's like crushed down a little
Mhm.
bit. But it's like
Right,
I'm embracing that. It's like, so what? I'm not about to go get plastic surgery for it.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean? I'll do
right.
some eye lifts or something, some type of exercise. But what I'm saying is, even though that's there, I still love that part of me.
Yes,
Like, so what? Who,
right,
whatever. I don't care who don't like it. You know what I
right,
mean? It's like I have a gap between my teeth. I love my gap. I'm not about to go change it. You
right.
know, whoever don't like it, I really don't care if they, who doesn't like it.
Or to
Like
celebrate
it.
it, you know.
You know what I
Yes,
mean? But
yes,
we get so caught up in not me, but like society, especially our youth, they get
yeah,
caught up in, watching these videos, and I'm not gonna say any names, but certain celebrities and reality shows, and they feel like, oh, I need to look like that person, or I need to dress like
right.
them.
Mm-hmm.
I need to lose some weight so I can look like them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I believe in being fit, but it's like, don't try to be like another person. Just, if you want to lose weight, become a help, making your goal to be a healthy weight instead of saying, I
Right.
need to look like that person.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
And right. And our bodies are composed of, like, I don't know, trillions of sentient entities. And they're having their own experience. And so we don't even think about that. Like, your body is having its own experience itself.
Right.
Like, and it's maturing and doing all the things that bodies do. And certainly our task is to provide it with what it needs to do what it needs to do, right? But
Right.
even in spite of what we provide, our bodies are still working on our behalf, in spite of this GMO and this engineered food and this, I don't know, this artificial food, synthetic food that we're eating,
Yeah.
right? Our
Yeah.
bodies are still working on our behalf
Yeah.
to provide us, with an avatar suit for the experience that we're calling forth here
Right.
while in the time that we're here.
Yeah.
And so
I
I
like
think
how
we
you
need,
called it the avatar suit, the body, which is carries a soul,
right,
so that we can have this human experience.
because this is not who we are.
Right.
So that's why I call it an avatar suit, because I mean, you
Right.
look at it and you say, oh, that's Joyce. No, that's not me. Because
Right.
my energy could leave this and you would be
Right.
left with this. And and
Right.
and you wouldn't
Right.
want it for too long, because then you'd be trying to find a hole or something to stick it in, right? But but
Right.
but that essence of me
Yes.
is no longer there, but my essence is still very much present. And which brings me to, I'm thinking about my mom. Now, my mother and my aunt, sorry,
It's
this is
fine.
all about this relationship.
It's all about
And
relationships.
and they're both ancestors. They're both transitioned.
So
And
your
I thought
mom, you said your mom and who else?
my aunt, and they
Your
were
aunt.
they were they were twins. And
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
and it's so funny because they left the earth realm.
Mm-hmm.
They left the physical body. Let me try that.
Mm-hmm.
9 years and one day apart. Like, my mother transitioned on February the 3rd.
Wow.
My aunt transitioned on February the 4th. Well, my aunt transitioned February the 4th 1 year. My mother transitioned 9 years later, February the 3rd. And they were twins. But
Wow.
what I want to say is, when I think about them as I'm at my altar,
Mm-hmm.
I realize that in my DNA, right, in the essence,
Mm-hmm.
because they contributed to who I am, right? Because my DNA is this construction of all who've ever been before me, right down in my lineage,
Mm-hmm.
and their essence is there, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sit with it, like, they're not gone, because I am a manifestation of all, not all that they've been, but
Right.
I got 23 chromosomes of my mama, who had 23 chromosomes of her mama and daddy, who had 23. You know what I'm saying? So and her sister, right? They were sharing chromosome DNA. And I'm looking at that and saying, wow, I am the composite of them. So when you celebrate your ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
the realization is that, somebody said, I am my ancestors' dreams and I am my
Wow.
ancestors' hopes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's true. The celebration is, even though they took off their physical form, they're yet here,
Right.
evolving as I evolve.
Most definitely. What about this though? Would you say also that you are another version of, like, we are a different version of our ancestors? Like, we are our ancestors. We're just a different version. Like, would you say that you're another version of your mother?
I don't know if I'd say that. I'd say I'm another version of spirit, source,
Mm-hmm.
creator.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not the fullness. And you could say that if you understood that I'm not the fullness. All that made my mother who she was often encompassed in her experiences as well. It wasn't just that she had this DNA,
Right,
right?
right, for
Like she
sure.
had it, but it was, she had wore this body and she came into the earth realm and she began to experience
Mm-hmm.
this physicality, which
Right.
began to shape, right, and add to who she was when I met her as my
Mm-hmm.
mother. And so I believe that we are again the composite of those who come before us, but also the experiences that we have when we're here. Are we the composite of their experiences? There's research that say that we suffer their trauma. If they've been traumatized, it's in our DNA. It comes in through the DNA, and so we'll
Mm.
have the we'll have the trauma, and often unknowingly have the trauma. How many of us have been in the womb and our mother has gone through something
Right.
traumatic, and while we're taking form and shape, and
Right. Right.
we have that when we come out. It doesn't announce itself as, oh, I'm the trauma you got when your mama was going through. It doesn't
Right.
announce
Right.
itself like that,
Exactly.
right? But it comes out in various ways that we behave.
That's true.
And I thought about my mom. She was 15 when she married my father,
Okay.
and she was in the South. And one of the things my mother contended with was this idea of wanting to be saved. And she, because she was in the South, and she wanted out of the South, and my daddy was that way out, and she wanted away from her mom, and my daddy offered that. And so that became later in my life. I was, kind of went, why I'm trying to save everybody? What is the world?
Oh wow. Okay.
And we're like, if you think of us like walking unrooted, no, let's try this, like walking trees,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that our roots are sort of like planted in our parents, if you think about that. So if whatever is in them, some, not all, but there's stuff that's in them. They call it, come on, what is that called? Uh, genetic memory, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so that it's in our roots. So it comes up. If we're a tree, it comes up, and roots go into the branches,
Yeah.
and what's ever coming up through the roots will find its way to the branches. So if you think about it, if there's some trauma, some issue that that has been in your bloodline, it's in you, right? And it may, however it shows up, it may show up, and it be something that you have to deal with in your lifetime, and you have to work your way through in your lifetime, or maybe not. Maybe just pass it down to your kids. Church calls that generational curses, right? And so
Right.
there's stuff that we pass on, um, that we work through, and that's
Right.
that. But that should help us understand how we are not individuals, how we are connected to each other, like that there's a oneness. Everybody is connected. There's
Right.
no way to not. And that's indigenous. That's our culture, that we understand that I am because we are. I exist because you exist.
Mm-hmm.
And we are connected. I breathe air, I breathe out, and you breathe it in, right? Like you can't cut up the air and say, oh no, that's your air and I'm not gonna breathe it, right? Like you
That's
you know
true. That's
and
true.
so that's something that we dismiss, this connectedness. And it's not that's a if you try to disconnect yourself from others, then you're living in a illusion, which is
Right.
what we do here in America. We're real good at that.
So we're good at that. And yeah, and also to add to that, our ideal about relationships come from our parents.
Hmm. They
And
do.
it's like I'm like the place where I'm at now, because I've done the inner work, because I've done the healing, because I've did, that's why I'm so big on personal development,
Mhm,
always striving to become better
mhm.
and to release the past what doesn't serve me anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like my parents' idea about relationships is not my idea about relationships,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, you evolved. And
Yeah,
that's the
I've
other thing.
evolved.
Right. So when you come into the earth realm, contextually, the world is different than what it was when your mama them came through. But most times we don't even interrogate what mama and daddy them do. We just look around and say, oh, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do, right? We don't even,
Yeah,
right?
when we're growing up, we don't question it. We just thought that's just the way it was. Until
And
you grow and evolve, and then experience
right,
another idea of relationship with another family or your friends or cousin's family or another relative, whatever. You see that, oh, that's different than how I grew up or whatever.
right. And sometimes we'll look at that and judge it, right? And say,
And judge
these
it.
people are crazy. I don't even know, because if they grew up, because we didn't do that in our house. So you ever
Right,
walk in somebody's house and you had to take your shoes off at the door.
right, right.
But mama, when you went in the house at your house, girl,
We took our
everybody wore
shoes
they
off.
it was them shoes was in there, right? But then you find culturally that there are homes that have different sets of rules, right? And so, and you had to,
Right, right,
but had you not had that experience, you would have known that there are actually other households that take their shoes off, right?
right, right.
Um, and so I think I challenge people to begin the interrogation, like, and when you're in relationships, the number one question you should ask, why do you think that? Like, um, somebody said, well, my man, uh, I don't want him sleeping around. He can only, he my man,
Right,
and I, his penis belong to me. And
right,
I had to say, hold up, like, you know, his penis is on his body, right? Like that's his
right,
body. No, that's my man. Okay,
right.
but
The
when do
ownership.
you
The ownership.
start? That's called slavery. When you own another person's body, right?
When you own their body, yeah,
That's enslavement.
right.
I don't think people think about that. Like, ooh,
They
is that
don't,
what?
because it's normal to like, your if you're in a relationship, his penis shouldn't be anywhere else. It should be.
But why shouldn't it be
Oh,
anywhere
you
else?
since you went there,
I mean, but seriously, why can't
the
it's his penis?
program is it should be a monogamous relationship.
What program? Who came up with that?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the program. I mean, to me, where I grew
Well,
up,
that's the church. They,
the church, maybe it came from the church.
oh, hey, and we're a Christian country, right?
We're a Christian. We're a Christian country. I'm not saying I'm a Christian right
Let me
now.
put some
I believe
quotes
in
around that.
Christ, the Christ
I input
consciousness, but it's
right,
not a traditional. I'm not a traditional Christian, but I'm just saying,
right.
I have the Christ consciousness. But I don't know. It's just I don't mean the idea of sharing your partner with somebody else is just it just I don't know. I don't know about if I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like um I don't think I own, I mean, I'm not in a relationship currently, but I don't think when I am in a relationship with someone, I don't feel like I'm going to own that person. I'm going to allow that person freedom. Like,
Allow. Do you hear that word? Allow.
I mean, allow. Yeah. I mean, so for me, it's a journey. It's like you don't just jump from here to here all at the same time. So I don't know. It's still something that I'm learning and something I'm still exploring the whole idea of what is freedom in a relationship. But I do know this, like, I'm not going to be like, who you talk to or who you've been talking to or whatever. I don't know. It's like, I'm just gonna allow that person freedom. Like, where were you at last night? That kind of stuff is just like so old and not cool to me. But so far as being intimate, I don't know. I don't know if I can go there right now, but I'm open to hearing what you have to say about it
I just
further.
have questions. My question is, where did you get your concept of what an intimate relationship was from? Where'd you get that from?
I
And you
got it
said
from my parents, and I got it from church, and
right
I
from
got it
church.
from the adults that
Mm,
help, other adults that I was around as a child, I guess, or
okay.
growing up as a teenager.
Okay. So contextually, that was a different time. For instance,
Yeah, it was a different time. That's true.
we
That's
used to
true.
cook in ovens. That was, I mean, with some people
That's
still do,
true. It
but
was a
people
different
do
time.
microwaves,
But do you
right?
think we should be sharing each other and being intimate, like sexually intimate with other people?
Would you, like, okay, wow, that's why
I
wouldn't
don't
you?
know. More than one person? I don't know.
But why would
I
that be
guess I'm old fashioned because
so now you label that old fashioned. Okay, so that's interesting. This is so interesting. So the question
I don't know.
becomes,
I'm not cool with that though. I guess I'm just not cool with that.
but you need to know why. It's not to say I love you. Here's the thing. I love
Yeah, I
you.
love you, but I'm not gonna be cool if you go sleep with somebody else.
Okay.
And that's
So
a program. I realize that's a program, but
what is the purpose of relationships? So when I enter into a relationship with you, what is the fundamental purpose of that of my entering into a relationship with you?
what's the purpose of your relationship with
Of
me?
me entering into a relationship with you, where we spend a lot of time together and we
Exchange ideas. I mean, we're enjoying each other's energy. We're learning from each other.
right,
We're enjoying each other. We're doing things,
right.
together.
So
Enjoying
fundamentally,
life together, really. I
okay,
mean,
okay, so it's about enjoying life. But do you think it's also about helping each other evolve?
most definitely. Actually, that's the main purpose of the relationship.
You're in a
It's to help that
relationship.
person evolve.
Okay.
It should be a spiritual union, a spiritual connection.
Okay. So in a sense, spiritual partners.
Yeah, most definitely. I totally agree with
It's-
that.
So if you are a spiritual partner with that person, and what you're saying is, I want to do all that I can to
Hmm.
assist you in being all that you can be.
Hmm.
Because I understand that when you are your best you, then what you bring to me will be the best for me, right?
Yes.
We're engaged in this um this partnership of sorts for both our evolution.
Most definitely.
Okay. And so when you say that, so if
Hmm.
this, in order for them to evolve, they need to go and share their body with some other woman. But that causes them to evolve, because if you understand that your number one goal is for them to become the best being that they can be. And
Right.
you need to understand that everything that they need is not in you.
That's very true. We can't possibly give a person everything they need. That's impossible. And
So
that's
you already
impossible. And it's impossible to expect that as well.
so you already a deficit. I mean, and if you could understand that if I don't have all that this person needs to
Needs.
become. Mhm. And
Right.
so if part of them evolving means
Hmm.
that they
Hmm.
need to be with somebody else,
Hmm.
and I say I love them unconditionally, can I give them the space to evolve?
Hmm. I see what you're saying.
Because if you can't give them that space, then
It's a new concept though for me. It's
let me
kind of a
finish.
new
If
concept.
you can't give them that space, then you are loving conditionally,
Yeah,
and that's not true love.
and that's not true love. Hmm, that's interesting.
It is, isn't it?
It's very interesting.
Right. Because we have been brought up to put our insecurities
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
And you call it the ego, but it's I'm insecure.
So
I need
so
you
what
to
was
love me. And
mm-hmm,
if
mm-hmm.
you love somebody else, then that's a love that's not you're not giving to me. And so,
Right, right.
so that person is stealing from me, and you complicit in giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you a victim.
Hmm. I never thought about that in that way.
Hmm.
I guess not in that way. Hmm.
And the one thing that we learned very well here in this country is how to play the victim card.
That's
We
very
just,
true.
oh, Jesus.
Very true. Very true. So why is there a guilt attached to if someone is in a relationship and then they decide to go explore somewhere else? Why is there a guilt? It's like, oh, that's wrong.
Because you're not honest about
Mhm.
you haven't talked about what true love is. And so there's all this unspoken stuff. So if you're feeling guilty, then you're guilty because you've done something wrong.
Right.
You think it's wrong, then you need to examine, like, damn, why I think this wrong.
Right.
And if you haven't had that conversation, she may think it's wrong too, or he may think it's wrong too. It's
Right. Right. So why do
so
people
you
do it anyway though? Even though if they think it's wrong if they're married in their marriage and
because they're not spiritually mature.
they're not spiritually mature.
These
Okay.
are not conversations that we have. We don't see it from this. Uh, what we good at is making slaves. We're good at becoming
Right. Right.
masters and making slaves. And so I
Right.
own you, and it's
Right.
your job to make me happy. It's
Yeah.
your responsibility to make me happy. I'm not even responsible. You are. And if
Right.
you don't
Right.
make me happy, then you don't love me. And
Right. Right. Holding the person again, going back to that, giving someone else the responsibility to give you the love and give you what everything that you need, which isn't
mhm,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
But
What do
we're
you think about
programmed.
that? Yeah, we are. And we don't. And I think in some ways, maybe lazy. We're also lazy in the sense of we won't, we don't, we can feel that there's something more, but we don't want to stop and really
We don't want to
begin to
go and explore it, huh?
pull it apart and
Hmm.
say, why do I think what I think? And why? And there's some stuff that keeps showing up in our, we're
And
looking
I
for.
want to, I want to grow beyond my beliefs that I have about relationships. And then you and I were talking earlier about intimacy. Intimacy is not just having sex, it's having a deep connection with someone.
Mhm,
It's conversation. It's really just like opening yourself up to another person that you feel connected to, which is fine, which is okay.
mhm, mhm.
And it's
It's
like I'm fine with that, but it's like the sex part is something that I need to, I guess, explore more.
mm,
Yeah. And let's go back to the animals, like our cats, our dogs, our pets. It's like we love them and they love us so, like, to me, it seems like they love us more than we love them because they have that unconditional love where there's like not anything, they don't expect us to love them back like they love us.
mhm.
So it's like, to me, that's why animals can be the best companions to us, because it's like you have a lesser chance of, actually you don't have any chance of them leaving you. They will never leave you for the most part, most animals.
But
But
if that's
then
a
you, but
if
then
that's a
the
fear, go ahead.
that's a fear. That's a fear. It is a fear that needs to be addressed. But then the other thing too, we're talking about ownership. Like, to me, is like, to hear someone say, make a video about, oh, the cat and the owner is this, the cat and the owner, or the cat did this to the owner, or the dog and the owner. I'm like, that shit is so backwards. How are you going to own a cat? How are you going to own a dog? How are you going to own another living being? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all.
It
And
makes sense
then
in Western culture. It's called property,
it's called property. And
right? And
the
so
same
if
thing with a human. Like, if you married to somebody,
yes,
you don't own that person.
well, yeah, you do.
No,
in
you
in
don't. If you
in
marry
West
somebody, you don't own them.
Listen, in Western culture, come on, let's go back and let's
If
go
you're in a
back a few.
relationship with somebody, if you have a baby by somebody, you don't
Oh,
own that
nope,
person.
nope. That, yep, that. See,
It's like,
this,
I own you now.
Yep.
even if you have
There.
sex with somebody, you don't own them.
Okay. All right.
But let's talk. I'm just saying my perspective. I know
Let me
it's,
drink some water.
but I'm just saying, that's just the reality of it. It's like we don't own anybody. It's impossible to own a person. But I hear what you're saying. So what are your other thoughts on that?
We live in a country that owned beings for over 400 years. We live in a country where a woman didn't have any rights, or let me try this, that a European American woman who was not enslaved supposedly, but she had no rights. She couldn't own property. She couldn't, go to courts. Well, very few, supposedly. But if you were somebody's wife, your stuff was theirs. And
Right,
from in
right,
many
right,
cases, for
right.
those of us who grew up in the church, that's also um, some church stuff. I have to put it like that, where all your stuff belong to them, right? And so
Right, right.
we have children, and we call them, this is my child, this is my.
That is true. That's
Mhm,
mine.
and so we have a culture that is built around ownership, property rights. It really is. It's in the laws, property rights. And so we think in that way of owning others. And I tell people, when we talk about relationships, there's two kind of relationships, and it's probably more, but I think about, there's connection
Yeah.
and there is attachment. And
Oh,
attachment is, I
big
can't live without
difference.
you.
Hmm.
You just, like, I can't breathe without you, right?
Right, right,
Connection
right.
connection is, we're here for now, as long as it's good. And when it's no longer good, it does not serve us, then we'll let it go, right? That.
Now that's freedom. Yeah.
Up the mic, boom, that's it.
Oh, that's it.
So
That's
how do
real.
you create relationships that allow you to be free, and this person who you're partnering with to be free? And those are conversations. That's just not going to naturally happen. And that's spirit driven. That's
Yes.
purely spirit. That's not driven by this.
Right,
That's driven
right.
that's driven by spirit.
That resonates too.
Mhm.
So in closing, like, do you have any advice for people? Like, what are the first steps that we can take to allow more freedom in relationships and our idea of relationships?
My first suggestion is, don't go in a relationship if you have not learned how to love yourself.
Right, right,
You don't have the capacity to love someone else. And
right.
self-love is, I was thinking about this today. Like, we know what it is to reach out and grab someone and pull them into our arms. And we say, oh, I've been touched. They touched me. Oh, I know, I'm loved. What does that feel like when you do it? Because people are not accustomed to thinking about, how do I pull myself in and hold myself
Right.
and feel good when I'm holding myself?
Just even like just wrapping your arms around yourself.
Yes.
Like, how many of us do that
Yeah.
and just say, I love you?
Right. Or sit in it. Just sit in
And sit in it.
the presence of you
Mm-hmm.
and feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yeah.
enjoy that so much that it would look, if didn't nobody else show up to sit in this presence right now, I'm good. This so
Right.
good right now, right? But that's not, we want distractions. Most of us I am so uncomfortable with myself. I'm so not loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
We got all these negative voices going on in the back of our head. I just need somebody to distract me from me, somebody I can work on, right? And most time we got somebody I want to fix you, right? You could do so
Right.
much better, and you could,
The average person. Right, right,
right? And they won't
right.
fix themselves.
Themselves. They won't look in the mirror.
There's no other work. Your first work is, and really your only work is you.
Is you. So for me, the ideal relationship is allowing the person freedom, allowing them space, allowing them actually just allowing that person to be who they are fully. And to me, like the agreement, just say a marriage, or not even a marriage, even just say if you want a long-term relationship, to me, the ideal long-term relationship, or I like to say, to me, like an intimate relationship to me is an agreement between two people to commit to each other that they're going to help each other become their best version. They're going to help each other just be like so connected to God, source, universe, whatever they call that higher power. And like to me, it's like my vow was going to be, I'm going to do everything in my power to stay connected to the divine so that I may have this beautiful relationship with you and help you stay connected to your divine as well. And we'll just come together and mix it all up between us. Just share all that good spirit between us. And then of course the other things that go along with the relationships, the same interest, having the same things in common, having, maybe they like to travel, maybe they like to, go to museums, or maybe they like to go for walks in the park, whatever that common interest is. Maybe they have a passion for real estate or whatever, they love homes. I like to watch HGTV or whatever that is. They have that common thing in common. But to me, the ultimate relationship is really just helping each other become their better version. And it's not like, oh, I want you for me and I need you to do this for me or that, or whatever. What's your take?
That relationship is everything you said, but
Yeah.
again, instead of having it be external, just focus on, take everything that you said, like you gave a list of what the ultimate relationship should be.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were talking, I was thinking all of that should be what you say to you and your higher self, or your guides, or if your guides are working with you to help you evolve, to become the best you that you can be, that's the ultimate relationship, and everything else will follow. That instead of attaching that to another physical being,
Mm-hmm.
that should be you and your guides, investing in you, perfecting your evolution. And again, I keep saying, rein that in. I don't think there's an outward yet. I think you won't even get to outward until you rein that in. Do your internal work. And what happens is when you spend so much time doing this, you'll look up and that other piece will be added. That person will be there. And they'll look like, because you're calling it forth, right? You created this frequency of vibration that will call that being forth. But you're trying to get that being before you do the work.
Right. And that's what most people do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most relationships don't last.
That's the way we're taught. And I don't know. So you say most relationships don't last. I don't know if relationships are supposed to last.
Right.
Again, that's contextual. We're in a different time. I'm not sure what relationships.
You know what? I'm right there with you because I'm just gonna be real. I've been single for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been like longing for a person. Mm-hmm. I've gone on a few dates, but they didn't work out. I've talked to a few people, but they didn't work out. And you know what? I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I'm at a different space now than I was 7 years ago too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm not gonna settle. I'm not at that place where I'm gonna settle like this because I'm not like longing like I gotta have somebody.
Right. And if you got that, I gotta have.
I just want somebody I desire someone to share my life with. I just want to share the goodness of me and who I am with that person, and vice versa.
Right. But you want to, if it's like that, then you want that person to come to a space that's going to be healthy for them, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And it's not like a selfish thing either. Like you were talking about the slavery. It's like some people want a person for certain things. Mm-hmm. Some people want somebody to take care of them financially. Some people want somebody because they want to have sex with them. It's a lot of different reasons, a lot of different dynamics that's involved in that wanting to
Right.
be with a partner. But
Right.
for me, it's like neither one of those.
Mhm.
It's more of, I just want somebody to share my goodness with, somebody to share spirit with. Like for me, when I look for a partner or my ideal partner, and looking at one of the best relationships I've had was I saw the God in that person, and that's what drew me to him.
Mhm.
It was the
Right.
God part of them. It wasn't like anything else. The main thing was the God in him. I saw the God in him.
Right.
I saw spirit.
Right.
And I wanted that. Like, oh, that feels good, Because at the
That's
end of
the
the
drawing
day,
power. That's it. Mhm.
yeah, at the end of the day, we want to feel good. We're really searching for the God in a person. That's really deep down what we're looking for.
Mhm.
At least for me, that is.
Mhm.
And there's no ego in that at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's
Amen. Drop the
like,
mic.
I don't have nothing else to say.
It's just like, okay. So let me, reflect on this, think about it, and let's see what else we can pull out in another discussion down the road.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. Well, it's been great having this talk with you, Dr. P.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank
Very
you for
enlightening.
it
Thank you
has
so.
been for me too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for tuning in to Awakening with Katina Love, to be continued. Namaste.
Namaste.